Shattered Illusions. Chapter 1. The Perfect Facade. From the outside, Thomas and Emily Whitmore had a picture-perfect marriage. They lived in a beautiful suburban home, had 2 adorable children, and were admired by friends and family. Thomas, a charismatic and successful businessman, seemed to be the ideal husband, always doting, always providing. Emily, a graceful and intelligent woman, was the perfect complement, loving, supportive, and fiercely devoted to their family. Their social media pages showcased moments of happiness, vacations to exotic places, candlelit anniversary dinners, laughter-filled family outings. They were the couple everyone envied. But behind closed doors, reality was far from the fairy tale their photographs painted. For years, Emily ignored the small, nagging signs, moments when Thomas's charm would suddenly turn cold, when his sweet words would twist into condescension, when his presence in their home felt like an illusion. She convinced herself it was stress from his demanding job. But deep down, a quiet voice inside her whispered that something was wrong. Chapter 2. Cracks in the Facade. It started with small things. Thomas coming home later than usual, brushing off Emily's questions with vague excuses about work meetings that ran over. At first, she believed him. She wanted to believe him. After all, he was a dedicated provider, and she had never had reason to doubt him before. But soon, the absences grew more frequent. Business trips he never used to take. Weekends spent working on urgent projects. The warmth between them faded, replaced by distant conversations and hurried kisses as he rushed out the door. One evening, as Emily was chopping vegetables for dinner, her phone buzzed. It was Thomas. "Hey, Em, I'll be late again. Last-minute meeting with a client." Emily forced a smile. "Okay. Don't work too hard." The line clicked dead before she could say another word. A pang of unease settled in her chest. She shook it off and turned back to preparing dinner, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Chapter 3. The Discovery. It was an accident. Emily had never been one to check her husband's phone. She trusted him, or at least, she thought she did. One night, Thomas had left his phone charging on the kitchen counter. As she passed by, the screen lit up with a message from an unknown number. "Can't wait for tonight. I've missed you." Emily's breath caught in her throat. The words stared back at her, cruel and undeniable. Her hands trembled as she picked up the phone. Her heart pounded in her ears. She wanted to believe it was innocent, maybe a wrong number, maybe a joke. But her gut told her the truth. She scrolled up, her stomach twisting tighter with every exchanged message. Flirtation, plans, late-night rendezvous, and then, the worst part, explicit confessions of love. The room spun. The air felt thick, suffocating. Emily clutched the counter for support. The perfect life she thought she had was crumbling before her eyes. Chapter 4. Confrontation. That night, Emily sat in the dimly lit living room, waiting. Thomas walked in around midnight, looking exhausted but indifferent, as if coming home to his wife and children was just another chore. "Hey," he muttered, tossing his keys on the table. Emily stood. Her hands were balled into fists at her sides. "Who is she, Thomas?" He froze, his expression unreadable for a fraction of a second before slipping into an easy, practiced smile. "What are you talking about?" Emily held up his phone. "I saw the messages." Silence. Then, a sharp laugh. "Jesus, Emily, you're really checking my phone now." He shook his head. "This is exactly why. Don't turn this around on me," she snapped, her voice shaking with fury. "Just tell me the truth." But Thomas didn't admit to anything. He played the victim, claimed she was paranoid, blamed her for being insecure. By the end of the argument, Emily was left questioning her own sanity. Chapter 5. The Lies Deepen. The next few weeks were hell. Emily tried to act normal for the sake of their children, but her mind raced constantly. She dug deeper, looking for proof. What she found was worse than she had imagined. Bank statements revealed hidden accounts. Emails hinted at secret meetings. A second phone number, one he kept buried in his work bag. Thomas wasn't just having an affair. He was leading a double life. Emily confronted him again, this time armed with evidence. He didn't deny it anymore. But instead of remorse, he scoffed. "You don't understand how hard I work," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "I deserve to have something for myself." Emily's world shattered. This wasn't just betrayal, it was utter disregard for the life they had built together. Chapter 6. The Breaking Point. Emily had always believed in fighting for her marriage. But how do you fight for something built on deception? One night, as she watched Thomas laughing with their children as if nothing had happened, she knew. She couldn't stay. Not for him. Not for a lie. She filed for divorce the next morning. Thomas fought her every step of the way. The custody battle was brutal. He painted her as unstable, tried to turn their friends against her, weaponized their children's love. He had money, power, and charm on his side. But Emily had something stronger. The truth. Chapter 7. The Aftermath. Divorce did not bring instant relief. It was a war, and even after the final papers were signed, the battle wasn't over. Co-parenting with a manipulative ex-husband was another nightmare. Thomas refused to take responsibility. He gaslit Emily at every turn, undermined her authority as a mother, and played the victim whenever it suited him. But Emily refused to let him break her. Chapter 8. Rebuilding. With time, she found her strength. She started her own business, threw herself into her children, and rediscovered long buried. She learned to trust herself again. Emily never thought she'd open her heart again. But then she met someone. Someone kind. Someone who saw her, really saw her. It was slow, cautious. But it was real. Thomas's lies finally caught up to him. His business partner exposed his embezzlement, and his carefully crafted image crumbled. He lost everything. Emily heard the news through mutual friends. A part of her wanted to feel vindicated. Instead, she felt nothing. He had already lost the most important thing long ago, her. Years later, Emily stood on the porch of her new home, watching her children play in the yard. She thought about the woman she had been, the woman who had once believed in a fairy tale that never existed. She had lost so much. But in the end, she had gained more. Herself. Please like, share, leave a comment and subscribe. Thank you for watching.